What's up, dude? Today I'm gonna show you how to take a simple box of Kraft macaroni and cheese and turn it into a gourmet product that is literally 10 times better. I'm also gonna teach you the one trick I learned about macaroni and cheese sauce that changed the way I do it forever. And as always, there is no time to waste. Now let's go! Much like any good mac and cheese recipe, this one is gonna start with a roux, which will then turn into a bechamel, which will then turn into a mornay. Now, if you're new to cooking, this may sound complicated to you, but trust me, it is extremely simple. Here's how you start. Start by melting 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter in a large pot set over medium heat. Once the butter is completely melted, add 7 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And what we've just made is the first step of this recipe, which is called a roux, which is French and essentially is just a thickener. You can use this to thicken soups, sauces, braised meats, or in this case, the base for the bechamel sauce. And one big mistake I personally see people make when they make a roux is that they'll melt the butter and the flour and then add the milk straight away, which is gonna give you an end product that has a raw, floury taste. You need to cook out a roux, meaning leave it over the heat for about 10 minutes and stir it frequently to cook out that raw flour taste, and you will smell the difference in the air. It'll smell almost like baked cookies. When the time has elapsed, at this point, you can get rid of your spatula and switch to a whisk. Keep the heat around medium. You can even turn it up a little bit at this point. And little by little, we're gonna add this whole milk. You only wanna add about a half cup at a time or so. And when it warms back up, it'll seize up on you and stiffen up like this. Add some more milk. And this milk is just sitting at room temperature. They say you can only add a cold liquid to a hot roux or a hot liquid to a cold roux. Although I've tried it both ways, and it always seems to work out. The trick to this is to really work it. If your arm doesn't hurt by the end of this process, you haven't done it right. Add more milk and work it in. My cameraman Marcus has told me he doesn't own a whisk. Marcus, come here. Come stand right here for a second. Come right here. Shame on you, buy a whisk. Okay. It's like, oh yeah, no, I have a car, I don't have a steering wheel yet, you know? It's like, oh, yeah, no, I have shoes, but only the left foot. I'm just continuing to add my milk little by little, and now it's time for me to reveal that one trick I was talking about in the beginning of this video, which is to make this sauce watery on purpose. I see people making a lot of mac and cheese and they start with a really thick sauce before they add the pasta, and they're overlooking the fact that that pasta is super starchy and it's gonna thicken up the sauce even more, so that by the time you bake it and it comes out of the oven, it is so thick and so gross and so hard to eat, it will make you like take a nap or pass out immediately. But if you start with a thin sauce, when you add the pasta, it's gonna thicken it up. You don't need a thick sauce right away. I mean, to each their own, but trust me, if you try this, it does go down so much easier. And I did learn that from a chef who had a competition winning mac and cheese. So take that for what it's worth. Either way, it's still gonna be good, but I stand by this method. All 5.5 cups of whole milk has now been worked into the bechamel sauce. And as you can see, it is pretty watery right now. This is where we want it, because now it's time to talk about the cheese, which is also gonna thicken this sauce. To the right, there is a list of different melting cheeses you can use for this recipe depending on your taste and preference. For this recipe, I'm choosing a trio of gruyere, parmesan, and cheddar, which, trust me when I say, is absolutely a delicious combination. However, if you want to choose different cheeses, go for it. It will still be delicious. Starting with the gruyere, and what I'm going for is 7 ounces. Oh my God, 7.15. Let's go. Some standard medium cheddar. You want to use a different cheddar, milder, sharper, that's up to you. Almost 8 ounces on that one. And of course, the king of cheese, in my eyes, Parmigiano Reggiano. When you buy this, just make sure the rind is stamped and that it's from Italy. There's only one Parmesan cheese. Personally, I buy it at Costco where it's a lot cheaper. And with this one, I'm only doing 5 ounces. Using the largest section of a box grater, I'm gonna shred up all my cheese. And of course, I took the rind off of this cheese before grating. This is the gruyere, here's the Parmesan, and finally the medium cheddar cheese. And then just give your cheese a really good mix. God, I love cheese. I think cheese is the first drug humans ever experienced. Before continuing, take roughly a third of your cheese, which we will save for later in the recipe. Next, with your bechamel on low heat, we're gonna add our cheese little by little, just a little handful at a time. Work that in, and after about 30 seconds, it should be all melted. Add some more. And when cheese enters the bechamel, it becomes a mornay sauce, which is essentially just a cheese sauce. That's it, just keep adding your cheese little by little in small additions until it's all worked in. And obviously this wouldn't be a Kraft mac and cheese recipe without using some of the packet. If we don't use this, we've essentially just made mac and cheese. So this needs to go in, but we're not gonna use all of it. Haters are gonna say I just made regular mac and cheese, but if this video gets only one person who's eating processed food and fast food every day and that's it, to make homemade mac and cheese for the first time, in my eyes, that is a huge win. I'm gonna start by adding 1 packet of this orange powder. Look at that stuff. Isn't that fun?
Woo!
Oh.
Having so much fun.
Personally, I like what it's doing color-wise. I'm gonna start by adding another half packet for 1.5 packets total. I think that should be the right amount. And that Italian Parmesan is definitely offended when this American Kraft powder just entered. But hey, this is looking absolutely delicious. Another ingredient I'm gonna be adding is some of my homemade rosemary salt. This is a famous seasoning I make on this channel. Been recreated more than any of my other recipes, and I will post that video and recipe in the description under this video. 1.5 teaspoons. And last but not least, my good old friend, Sergeant Gilbert. Black pepper, my friends. And personally, I like quite a lot of black pepper in my mac and cheese. I like a little of the spice on the tongue, but if you don't like it, don't put it. And here we go, one final mix. Look at that sauce, not too thick, not too thin, just perfect and absolutely ready now for the noodles. Looks like Kraft doesn't tell people to season their pasta water. This is pasta, right? Or is it noodles? Or what's the difference? I don't know. But always season your water if you're cooking noodles. About a tablespoon. And I'm throwing in 3 boxes of Kraft mac and cheese, which is about 1.5 pounds. Make sure you give it a stir right away so it doesn't stick. On the box, it says to cook this for 7 to 8 minutes, but because this is getting baked after, I would highly recommend you undercook it a little bit because it will finish cooking in the oven in the sauce. So after just 6 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and strain this pasta out. No rinsing of the pasta, you hear me? Don't rinse it. Stop rinsing it. Straight in, give it a stir. Ooh. Oh my God, it's so cheesy. And as I said, as this bakes, it is gonna thicken up into the perfect texture, okay? This is what you want. Set a baking tray over a sheet pan and go ahead and pour in your mac and cheese. Wow. And straight into a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven. After 15 minutes, I'm gonna remove from the oven and top with the cheese that we saved because a golden brown, bubbly, cheesy, crispy crust can only make things better. If you want to do breadcrumbs or whatever else on top, go for it. There are a lot of different things you can do, but for me, just cheese is a must. And now we're gonna put it back under a high heat broiler for around 4 minutes or until it's golden brown and bubbly and delicious. After 4 minutes, mine is looking pretty good, but I'm actually gonna take my sous vide gun here. Love this thing, link in description if you want a discount on it, to finish browning it up. We started with a loose sauce, but as you can see now, it is perfectly thick. Not too thick, not too thin, right in the middle, Goldilocks perfection. This is what's up. I wouldn't need it any thicker than this, please, no. It's already gonna put you down, don't let it kill you. Oh. The seasoning is spot on. It's not too thick and gross in my mouth. It's honestly just a super solid mac and cheese recipe on its own. Kraft packets or not. I think we need to bring in a mac and cheese connoisseur. Marcus, that's you, right?
I don't know if I'm a mac and cheese connoisseur,
Well, you know.
dinosaur, but I am a giant 8-year-old.
I think we should all be giant 8-year-olds. The world would be a better place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Oh yeah. I think it's a triple O, yeah.
If you have suggestions for box food you want to see me fancify, go ahead and leave those in the comments. The recipe for this mac and cheese is linked down in the description, as well as some of my favorite products I use on the show, and merch if you want to help support the channel. And until next time, you know I love you and I'm out!